Today, we're going to dive into the pretty high-stakes world of protecting cultural history. We'll take a look at the specific laws India has in place to guard its treasures, and we'll meet the officers who are right there on the front line of this really important fight. Okay, so picture this. You're a customs officer at an airport. Something in a passenger's bag catches your eye. Now you have to ask the big question. Is this a priceless piece of history, or is it just a cheap souvenir? That's the challenge they face every single day. And the answer? Well, it can decide the fate of a nation's heritage. And what we're talking about here isn't just any old knickknack. We're talking about incredibly intricate bronze idols. I mean, these are literally pieces of a nation's soul, its story. These are the very treasures that the laws we're about to unpack are designed to protect. To really get a handle on how this all works in the real world, let's just follow one single case from beginning to end. It's a classic situation, the kind of thing that happens at borders all the time. So here's the scenario. You've got a passenger, a flight heading to London, and this beautiful brass statue of Nataraja. The passenger, of course, says it's brand new, just a 10-year-old souvenir they picked up on their trip. So, if you're the officer, what do? Do you just believe them, or do you dig a little deeper? Your call could be the difference between saving a priceless artifact or letting it disappear forever. To make the right call on that statue, we first need to get into the legal stuff. It all comes down to one really important definition. What exactly makes something an antiquity in the eyes of the law? Well, according to India's Antiquities and Art Treasures Act from 1972, the definition starts out pretty broad. It covers things like sculptures, paintings, coins, basically any object that has artistic or historic value. But there's another crucial piece to this puzzle, and that piece is age. For a sculpture like our Nataraja statue, or a coin, or a painting, it has to be at least 100 years old. That's the magic number. It's the first big test to see if it qualifies as a protected antiquity. But hold on, there's a little twist. For other things, like manuscripts or historical records, the bar is a bit different. They only need to be older than 75 years. It's an important distinction, for protecting all that written history. So once an object officially gets labeled an antiquity, a whole different set of rules kicks in. The next big question is, who can legally buy it, sell it, or, and this is the big one, export it? And the law on this could not be clearer. Private individuals are not allowed to export antiquities. Period. It is a complete and total prohibition, and it's designed to stop the flow of these heritage items from leaving the country. It's probably the single most important rule in this entire act. Now, this doesn't mean you can't buy or sell these things inside India. The government's goal isn't to kill the domestic art market, but to regulate it. So to do that, dealers have to get a license, and really important pieces have to be registered with the Archaeological Survey of India, or the ASI. It's all about keeping track of this stuff. Which brings us right back to the airport and the folks who have to enforce all these rules, the customs authorities. They are literally the guardians, standing between a piece of history and the shadowy world of the illegal international market. And here, you can see the huge challenge these officers are up against. On the left, you've got a genuine artifact. It's weathered, it has history. On the right, a brand new replica. Honestly, to the untrained eye, telling them apart is almost impossible. And that's exactly what smugglers are counting on when they try to pass off priceless history as a cheap handicraft. So, what tools do they have? Well, they've got the power to inspect anything and everything leaving the country. They check for official paperwork, like those registration certificates we talked about, and, this is the most important part, if they have even the slightest doubt, they can call in the experts from the ASI. And if they suspect something is an illegal export, they can seize it right then and there. Okay, so now we have all the pieces of the puzzle, right? We know the definition, we know the rules, and we know what the officers can do. So let's head back to our passenger and their Nataraja statue and see how this all plays out. The passenger says the statue is only 10 years old. But based on everything we've just learned, what's the customs officer's next move? What does the rulebook say they have to do? Right. The officer is not just going to take the passenger's word for it. No way. That statue is immediately held for a closer look. This is where the real experts come in. The officer calls a specialist from the Archaeological Survey of India to make the final call. And here's exactly how it goes down, step by step. The officer holds the statue, asks for a registration certificate, which, of course, a tourist souvenir wouldn't have, and because there's doubt, they call the ASI expert. If that expert looks at it and confirms, yep, this is over 100 years old, it's seized on the spot. At that point, the passenger's story doesn't matter at all. The expert's verdict is everything. And the consequences for this are really serious. We're not talking about a little slap on the wrist. Trying to smuggle an antiquity out of the country can land you in prison for up to 3 years, plus a pretty hefty fine. It just goes to show you how seriously the government takes protecting its cultural history. So, our one case is closed, but it really just opens up a much bigger, more troubling question. We've seen how this one artifact was saved, but this is a global fight. For every one statue that gets caught, how many more actually slip through? What is the real scale of this silent theft of history that's happening right now, all over the world?